Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are talking SUBTERRORs and support that they need, the support that they should get. I know some people hate this, but this is one of my favorite archetypes of all time. I will tell you this, I never played the deck when it wanted to play the Dragoon package. I never played the deck when people were playing like 9+ floodgates in it. I only played Tikaboo in it ever, and just played it more control based instead of like actual stun, just literally stun you out of the game. And so, huge fan of this archetype. I think it's so unique. I think it is an archetype that deserves support. It hasn't really gotten anything in a long while. And if they got support that pushed the engine, it would make Dragoon unplayable in the archetype, because the deck's actually special summoning now. So you wouldn't want to play that. And if the deck actually has more engine, you're cutting slots because you don't need as many floodgates in the deck anymore. So I actually think people would enjoy playing against it and with it more often if they got the right kind of support. So that's what we're doing today. I'm giving you my 6 bullet points that I went over, and I really did a deep dive on this archetype, what it has and what I want to see to help kind of like carry the archetype along if they were to get a couple of cards of support. And I also have one big no-no, and we'll talk about that one at the end. If they were to get support, I would not want Konami to kind of push them into that. So let's just get into this thing. I want to start by talking about the cards that the archetype does have that are really good. I believe there's only 4 good cards in this archetype. It's obviously Guru. We know how legendary this card is. It's a Stratos that searches every turn because the deck is based around continually flipping him up and down, as well as he's a Book of Moon built into the same monster. Phenomenal card, absolutely insane centerpiece for the deck. Fiendus, incredible defensive card. This card is just an in-archetype hand trap. It can't be used going second like the furniture can, but the furniture aren't always an interruption. This card's an interruption if you have a face-up SUBTERROR, so very, very strong, and the second effect's also low-key, kind of nice as well. City, best starter in the deck. It's a searching field spell. Need I say less, because it also flips up a set SUBTERROR, which is exactly what the deck needs anyway. And the last one's Final Battle. Not being once per turn means in multiples it's amazing, and it just gets you quick flips. It's actually just really good utility, right? Keeping your SUBTERRORs from getting negated, making them huge so they can either run over stuff or punch for huge damage, or flip up or down. So perfect card for the archetype as well. Those are the only 4 good cards in the archetype to me. There's some other fringe ones that have seen play over the years, but I just don't think with what SUBTERROR has right now that any of those are really like that good. Now the support could make them good, and we'll talk about that. But here's the first point I want to get to. Crawler Soma. If you don't know, like 2 years ago, actually more like a year ago, we actually got this new card for Crawlers. It's a really, really cool card. And I read this card and I was like, holy shnikes. If this literally had said like SUBTERROR in its text, then like this card would be insane. So it flips any set monster face down, face up to summon itself from hand, and then it can reduce its level to summon like a crawler from hand whose level's like equal to or less than the levels you reduced him by. So it could be something like that, but essentially it's an extender that then can just summon a SUBTERROR from deck face up or face down, which would be amazing because it would help you get to Guru when you can't get to Guru. It could help you even get to Behemoths more often to add them to actually add power to your deck. We'll get to that a little bit later as well. This is just almost like a picture perfect type card for the archetype because the archetype is so normal summon reliant or normal set reliant that like it has no extension. So I think the first piece we need is some sort of extender that either we can search off of Guru to even like push the engine further, or hard opening it actually adds consistency because then it actually pulls Guru out of the deck even if you didn't open him or City in the first place. So that would be really, really good, and I think that'd be a great setup first card to kind of get the engine pushed further in the right direction. Next point I want to make. Ninjutsu Art Notebook of Mastery. If you don't know what this card is, it's a ninja card that actually came out early 2023 this year. It sets a ninja from deck or grave, and it sets another ninjutsu art. I'm not as worried about that as much, but just the fact, like, if SUBTERROR's got their own e-telly that just set. And I think they could play around with the effects of this card a little bit, but it says, like, maybe it could say, set a SUBTERROR monster from your deck. Then, if you do, you can flip one monster on the field face up or face down. That would be an insane card, because obviously the utility there also makes this a potential Book of Moon playing into a board, or it gives you the utility of essentially like setting a Guru and flipping him all at once, or setting something like an Umastrix going second and flipping him up to banish a card. That would be insane utility. Now, I don't know if they'd want to actually give a card like that SUBTERROR in its text so that Guru can search it super consistently, but it'd be an insane 3-of to open. It'd be an insane consistency booster, because that's definitely a huge piece that SUBTERROR's definitely been needing for a little bit, because opening City is great. Opening Guru by itself, really mediocre, and then opening neither is like the deck doesn't play. So it's definitely lacking a good bit in the consistency department. So that's why I'd like a combination of like a Crawler Soma extender / starter card, as well as some sort of like Ninjutsu Art Notebook, setting a SUBTERROR from deck. I also thought about this. Maybe it's like set a SUBTERROR from deck, and then maybe engrave it can banish itself to like quick flip. Or maybe it's just even during main phase, banish it to get a flip. But that would be huge. That would be an amazing card, because it doesn't take your normal, helps you play through interruption a little bit better. That would be a huge card for the deck for sure. And I think that fits the mold of what the deck wants to do anyway. And the deck only has like one good searchable Speller Trap in Final Battle, because City's not searchable. So yeah, that would be huge as well. All right, moving on. Third point. Bring back Nemesis Warrior. This card is so cool. This card is a legitimately good card, but because of like the way the direction the deck went when SUBTERROR Guru finally came out, this guy kind of became obsolete. He can quick effect tribute himself, he can send a SUBTERROR monster from deck to grave as cost. Then he tributes himself and another monster whose total levels are equal or higher than the monster you sent, and then you special summon that monster back to the field face up or face down. So it gets you access to any SUBTERROR monster in the deck, as long as you have him and any other monster in the game on the field. And then he has another effect where if a SUBTERROR behemoth is flipped face up, he just summons himself back. So then turn after turn after turn, you can kind of just keep rotating him, getting a free body back, getting the ability to turn into other SUBTERROR monsters, and just keep the ball rolling. He's a really cool card. To me, he reads as the kind of card that would become a 1-of in the deck, because you would just get him in rotation, and then he just starts coming back every turn. But we need a clean way to do that. So some kind of support built around giving us one monster and then also summoning Nemesis Warrior out of the deck at the same time, not at the same time, but like in conjunction with that monster. So that way he can then get us to whatever you want. Guru, one of the behemoths, whatever you need at that certain situation. And then he's going to rotate into more resources as the duel goes on. But really cool card. He's just a good card in a vacuum. And so I would really love to see something like that where he actually does get a chance to shine again in the deck. Next up, make behemoths good again. Umastrix has seen Fringe play in the deck, although in like the last like year or year and a half, I've not really seen anybody play it, because he's too much of a brick. When he comes up, you're already in a winning situation kind of thing. But if the deck actually pushed its engine and is able to set up the behemoths like turn one way more consistently and often, I think these cards are actually not bad cards. One, they're not even full-on bricks in the hand, right? They are just like straight up like not the worst extenders. Just in a vacuum, they're just not even terrible extenders, because they jump on the field and then they can just set themselves. So as long as you set up a way to quick flip them, they can be annoying. They can already be a problem for your opponent. And I just think like they built these guys to be the boss monsters of the deck, and like right now we're just playing the deck as such a strict control variant that like these guys don't have a place. If we get it to a more mid-rangey strategy where we're able to get these guys in rotation and flipping up much more consistently, then I think they can have a home for sure. There's 3 main behemoths that I think are the most important ones. That's Umastrix for sure. He's the one that I always did see play in the deck. When he's flipped, he can just target a monster your opponent controls and banish it. Not bad at all. Ultramaphus, a little bit more specific to the matchup, because he can change all other face-up monsters on the field to face-down defense position. So he books the whole field, but, with the Link era and, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, he's just a little bit worse than he used to be, but he's still not bad. Depending on a format, depending on a matchup, like he could actually still be really powerful. Some decks just already can't deal with Daruma Karma Cannon, and it's not even necessarily because it sends, it's just that entire board book is pretty powerful. So Don't hate him at all. He's a card I would consider. And the last one is Phosphoro Glacier. When this card's flipped, he sends any card from deck to graveyard. So that could be something generic. That could potentially be a new Subterror card that maybe has actual graveyard synergy, where this card actually is like pushing the engine, or like I said, something generic could actually be funny there as well. But we'd have to wait and see on that. But yeah, still cool. Definitely something that you could definitely play around with and see if there's any secret sauce there. But yeah, the behemoths are not bad cards. They're actually decent. The deck just doesn't facilitate them right now, and I'd love for them to be able to. I don't think there's a world where we'd ever end up playing all three of these, but like maybe one or two for sure. And then when it's up to your discretion, like, you know, you pick which one you think is the best and build around it. It'd be really cool. All right, next up, another quick flip. This deck needs another quick flip. I show Final Battle here because it's really the only good way for the deck to quick flip up on the opponent's turn. And the deck needs another way to do that, because in the world I'm imagining us being able to set up maybe a behemoth on top of, like, you know, the normal stuff, right? A Guru plus a Fiendus and maybe a Final Battle, right? And that's one quick flip, but like that's the whole idea of that, is that way you could like you know, you could kind of get some kind of dual utility of going like Final Battle is face up, so that way Guru can be a Book of Moon, and also like Fiendus gets its negate going as well. So you get like the Book of Moon plus the negate. But if we're also trying to end on like a behemoth or something else as well as an extra interruption, it probably needs us to be able to quick flip as well. So this is really the deck's only quick flip that it has access to. We could either get another engine piece that lets us pretty much get another free Final Battle because it's not once per turn, or it could be tossed in somewhere else. Maybe it's some sort of maybe it could be some sort of monster. We've already seen set monsters that a little bit. I think Deus Ex Crawler is one of these that like it can actually be triggered while it's face down, like a trap essentially, and then it flips face up and does something. Could be a monster like that. It could be potentially like the spell, like I said, a Ninjutsu Art Notebook, where like it summons a set Subterror, and then on another turn, other than turn it sent to grave, it can like quick effect banish itself to flip up a Subterror on your field. Would be crazy as well. I think something like that. Whatever it is, it needs to we just need one more card that gives us the potential to end on one more quick flip, because it feels like just Final Battle isn't quite enough, especially if we're going to push the engine to the next level. And the last one is Subterror Behemoth Fiendus. Now, at first I was considering, like, should we just actually get a good Link 2? They've already proven the deck is, like, I guess technically a Link deck, because this is the only extra deck monster they have, and it's a Link. But then I read this card again, and I was like, this card is not a terrible card. Am I crazy? So this card gains a bunch of attack depending on how many Subterrors you used for its Link summon. So most of the time this is probably actually getting up closer to like 3,000 for a Link 2. But the other big things are this. During your main phase, you can send any flip monster from deck to grave, and if you do special summon a monster from your hand face down to a zone this points to. So it pulls a monster out of the hand, and also just Foolish Burial's a flip. Is there a world where we're actually able to play like maybe even just one Shadal monster, and this just Foolish Burial's a Shadal, it's being sent to graveyard by card effect, boom, you know, draw one off of, you know, Beast, you know, pop a back row with Dragon, just, you know what I mean? Is there any world where we actually could do something like that? If we're able to, like, if we actually get an engine that can consistently make Fiendus, that would be so crazy. But that's interesting. And then the other effect is, once per turn, if a monster this card points to is flipped face up, you can add a flip from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Just any flip. This is not even like restricted to Subterrors whatsoever. This is just any flip. So yeah, that could add one of your behemoths. That could add a Guru. Guru's a flip, and potentially any other new support card as well, or even a generic flip. I don't know of any great ones off the top of my head here, but that, you know, we're talking about new support anyway, so we could be getting one or two more if this does come true. So this card is actually not bad. Now, are we going to be able to set this up and get it moving turn one? I don't know about that, because we'd have to not only get this on field with two flip monsters, but then also be able to set and flip a monster underneath of it to then even get a search. And like, there's also some clunkiness in that, like, Subterror Fiendus is not a flip monster. She just doesn't have a flip effect, so she's not searchable off of this card. card. So there's like, that would be like the most ideal card to search with this, but like you can't. So there's some weirdness there, but you would still get advantage off of it. But it's something to note. This is not a bad card. And if the engine actually puts enough bodies on the field, especially with an additional way to like flip a monster up, this card offers you quite a bit of value. So just something to note. Just wanted to get it out there. This is not a dead card. I said maybe they could make a new Link 2. They could if they want. Although I think it's like more likely they just kind of try and push the main deck engine enough where like this card's actually way more usable in the deck. But we'll obviously have to wait and see on that. And the last thing, the big no-no I have for the archetype is just don't slow us. Don't snail this deck. I know it's a flip-based deck, but that is the whole point of like trying to make a flip-based base deck any kind of good in modern day. Is you make it flip-based, but you give it the ability to like set and flip all on turn 1. That's how it kind of was able to do it way back when, but power creep has still pushed it back even further, even as one of the only flip decks that can flip its own stuff up on turn 1. So, you know, don't snail it. Don't just give the deck more cards that just sets a bunch of stuff turn 1, but doesn't actually give it an engine, right? So just don't make the deck too slow, basically. With the new support, that would be such a damn shame. Not that it needs to be crazy fast, doesn't need to be a full-on combo deck, but at least getting it to like a cool little mid-range strategy would be really, really nice to see. So that's where I land on SUBTERROR. I'm seriously, it's like my favorite deck of all time, I would say at this point. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below. I've really put a lot of thought into this archetype. What else would you like to see? Maybe there's something you think I'm overlooking here a little bit in terms of what you'd like to see for this archetype. Let me know in the comment section down below. I will see you in the next video, though. More archetypes to come in this format, talking about what they could get in 2024. But I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.